Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And in this video, I want to talk about the nightmare ordeal I've been going through dealing with lawyer John David Ekpenyong in the Superior Court in Kitchener. These past 3 years have been absolutely brutal. I have lost so much mentally, financially. I don't even know where to begin. But I'm going to try and go into a chronological order of the abuse that I've taken from this lawyer, the abuse this court has allowed this lawyer to do to me. This lawyer has lied on record well over a dozen times. The times that he's lied, I have proof of everything. These judges know he's lying. A lot of these judges have even said in their endorsements and commented about his lies. They've commented about his fraudulent documents, his fraudulent bills of cost. And what I went through in this court and dealing with this lawyer, I never anticipated. And it's enough to put someone over. I've tried to get out of this situation so many times. I can't. I am literally stuck in a web of psychotic behavior that I can't get out of. Problem is that some of these judges, they're giving this lawyer and his client a canvas to abuse the courts. When it's transparent what they're doing is wrong and malicious and unethical, they still allow them to conduct themselves. So this video, again, like I've seen in other videos, I have nothing to gain to mislead, to provide misleading information. I have nothing to gain to bash anyone. I'm really going to try to minimize the criticizing of this lawyer, John David Ekpenyong, and what I have caught him doing, what these courts have caught him doing, what these judges have caught him doing. And you guys are not going to believe what this lawyer has gotten away with. So it all started 3 years ago, May of 2022. I'm served with a restraining order application from an ex-girlfriend. An applicant I was never married with, had children with, or lived with. An applicant I never had, an ex I never had any police history with. Never any domestic issues with. This lady is older than me, and I helped her renovate her home. For 14 months, I volunteered because I guess we were dating at that time. Excuse me. And after I got illegally evicted from the direction of John David Ekpenyong, and I went to the landlord-tenant board. Excuse me. This person bragged how their house went up $800,000. Meanwhile, I pretty much demoed the whole house. Old plaster, dangerous walkways up to the dump, the garbage bin. Like, looking back, what I've gone through, I would have never done that. And I am so shocked, and I'm lost for words how this person continues to go for blood after me. After everything I did for this person, the financial gain this person gained from my help. So this video is going to be about all of the lies John David Ekpenyong, lawyer from Toronto, has caught doing, and I'm going to provide every bit of evidence that I have, that I've tried to share, that's fallen on deaf ears and blind eyes with these court, and it's an obvious pattern of corruption, and I don't know why they're doing it to me, to be honest. I had no business ever being in family court, and yet it went on for 3 years. So it's May 2022. We are before Justice Kathleen Bingham. John David Ekpenyong straight up lied and said that he never received an affidavit, when in fact he did. And I'll show you guys the emails where he admitted to receiving that affidavit, and he tried to tell me that I can't send it to him. He straight up lied in that court and said he never received that affidavit. I had to send him another one. In that same court appearance, this lawyer told me to shut up. A lawyer in good standing told me to shut up. And I have transcripts of that as well. And then also, too, I sent him an email about this telling me to shut up, and he straight up gaslit me and told me, oh, I see the email. I didn't tell you to shut up. You guys want to talk about gaslighting? I'm going to show this email to you and show how this lawyer conducts himself. And before I go any further, I just want to say that after dealing with John David Ekpenyong for 3 years as the opposition, I think it's pretty obvious there's some mental instability issues with this lawyer. He is really taking this on personally with me. This lawyer has been harassing me nonstop. He emails me on holidays, weekends, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 9 at night. Like, honestly, what kind of lawyer does that? What kind of lawyer who, like, this is just straight up malicious intent with this lawyer. I've had to block this lawyer, but what I'm kind of getting to also is that when I've looked up this lawyer, I don't see anywhere where he's gone to law school. And I'm considering dealing with this lawyer in and out of court, and really what a coward he can be. Big tough guy in his emails and his text messages. Talk to him in person, he's a completely different person. He won't even talk to me, actually, without the presence of police. But I'm really questioning how he got his license. And I would really like to wonder where his education was. And I tried to find out with the Law Society where his education was, and they won't tell me. But is he one of these lawyers that challenged the test and had schooling back home or somewhere overseas? Because his behavior and his conduct is very suspicious. Throughout 3 years, most of the time, this lawyer does not file materials on case lines. He does not confirm his attendance. And if someone did a thorough audit on this lawyer and his filings, you would see a very disturbing pattern of questionable conduct. So I'm starting to wonder. It really dawned on me today, and I tried to look into it about this lawyer. And I'm wondering where he went to school and where did he go to law school. And I know he got called to the bar in 2016, but, I don't know. If I were to guess, dealing with this lawyer for 3 years, I would guess he bought the answers for his exam. And he if I were to guess, just with his conduct, so I would really like to know, just to clarify, so I don't have to guess at things, where this lawyer graduated law school, and I'd like to get some information how about he went about getting his lawyer's license. So that back up a bit in May of 2022, there, I ended up losing that motion, or whatever, and they put a temporary restraining order on me. So imagine that. I get and they ran me down. So basically one time I live in Burlington, the applicant lives in Cambridge. She frequents up and down Plains Road there, and one day I saw her 2 minutes from my residence. I got concerned because I thought she was spying on me. She tries to turn, I admit this in the court, that I've seen her, and I'm worried about this, that she travels to Burlington, and I don't go to Cambridge. I don't go to Kitchener. I don't care for that area. I'll get into another story about that later on, about how my family's my dad's side's out in Kitchener, and that whole story will be another video, like an introduction video about myself. And I don't care for Kitchener. I don't care for that area. I definitely don't care for Cambridge after my experience in getting illegally evicted. So they tried to turn this around on me. There was an adjournment for this motion for a temporary restraining order. Once I admitted that, this lawyer, he tried to turn it around on me saying, oh, like I'm stalking, I'm laying in the wait, I'm harassing, which is absolutely slander and ridiculous. This person's coming to the city I live in. I see her, I bring it up. They put a spin on it, They put a spin on it that I'm following her. Oh, there's 200,000 people in Burlington. Like, that was just straight up horse shit. This is the tactics this lawyer does. So this is where I started noticing this BS from this lawyer. I lose that hearing, and it gets put over until July, I believe, of 2022. And this is where I first meet Justice Martha Ann Tweedy, a judge that came up from as a Justice of the Peace in Brampton. And like I said in a previous video, I think this was her first case. So this was an in-person meeting. They didn't show up. The hearing was late, like 40 minutes. The judge was late 40 minutes. If this happens, okay, out of common courtesy, the judge should ask the other party, do you consent to a Zoom? And just because I'm self-represented, they just went ahead and didn't even ask me like I'm some schmuck. So that was kind of my first experience of this handling. And that hearing went on, and it got adjourned. It got adjourned because it didn't show up. And then, John David Ekpenyong. So this video is about the lies from John David Ekpenyong, right? So John David Ekpenyong lied in that video. Again, got nothing to gain from misleading or lying. Everything can be backed up through transcripts. John David Ekpenyong said that he thought it was a Zoom hearing, and it wasn't. I was there in person. So during that summer of 2022, I'm trying to get out of this family court thing. I don't even know why I'm in there. And these judges failed to establish about not having kids, never being married. I got illegally evicted, and I never knew there was a police report where the applicant admitted to the police I was a tenant paying rent. She applied to the landlord-tenant board. So John David Ekpenyong, his client, withheld this for 2 years. But I was renting the basement, so things are getting dragged out. I'm trying to get out of this family court, and I can't unless I give into an extortion. They sent me an offer. It was ridiculous. Obviously, in hindsight, looking back, I should have took it. But I had no business being in family court. So I responded to an offer. And then they got back to me and they rejected it. And they wanted $20,000. 3 months in, they want $20,000. Here's the first attempt of extortion. I said, why would I pay that? Like, you guys want to resolve this or you want to extort me? They want to extort me and resolve it. And then later on, it might have even been in 2023, try to resolve it again. Like, I want out of this. That's when they tried to extort me again for $27,000. So there was 2 attempts for extortion for attempt court cost that was never incurred. Hours never worked. And if you guys research John David Ekpenyong, you'll see this lawyer tried to, and if it's him or if it's not, he tried to sue somebody in 2012. I think I have to double check, he might have slipped on a box of ice cream. This guy tried to sue for like $1.5 million, and he was deemed a fictitious litigant, or he was called a fictitious litigant. So if it's that lawyer, there's some really shady type of conduct. So they try to extort me. It doesn't go through. September 2023, we're in the divisional court, and we're before Justice Chiard. And John David Ekpenyong lies to Justice Chiard after she asked him where was the landlord-tenant hearings held. They were held in Toronto. There was 3 of them. The first 2 ones, he didn't even file his materials, assuming they would win, which he's done multiple times dealing with them. He doesn't file materials. He doesn't upload materials to case lines. So he lied to Justice Chiard where the hearings were, and then because he lied, she believed him, and then it got transferred to Kitchener. It should have stayed in Hamilton. That is the main divisional court hub. That is my jurisdiction. It is my appeal. November 2023, that's when Justice Tweedy, we went before her for another trial schedule conference management, and she said in her endorsement that he had two of his trial schedule endorsement forms had been rejected because he didn't fill them out right, and that's when Justice Tweedy, I think, acted non-impartial and did the counsel's job and filled out their application, because if I've said this before, Rule 17, Sub-Rule 11, parties must fill out, serve, and file before any trial is scheduled, which means a judge should be filling out the forms that's filled out, served, and filed. And you guys, that form was never even filed, and I got thrown into a trial, which I've said before. So Justice Tweedy, she filled out their application. She filled out their form. She didn't add to it. She filled it out for them and then blocked 2 pages of transcripts, which is still, we don't know what she's covering up. And if a judge has to cover up to almost 2 pages of transcripts, and it's kind of suspicious, they're trying to hide something. So I would really like to one day see what this judge has blocked out. And hopefully it's nothing of a, it's not a bad thing, but it's suspicious. January 2024 case, the family court's case moving along. John David Ekpenyong, he lies to Justice Madsen. And at the speak to that day, mind you, he didn't show up for 2.5 hours. I'm sitting in an electrical room at Scotiabank Arena. I ended up losing that job because of this family court crap. Justice Madsen asked John David Ekpenyong, how many days is the trial? He lies, says 3, knowing it's 2. She confirms it's 2. Doesn't say anything about it. Then she asked him if he served his trial record. He says yes. I said no, he didn't. She checked. He didn't serve it. He lied to this judge twice and nothing happened. Didn't get disciplined. February 2024. So I sue John David Ekpenyong and his client for defamation. These two are telling the courts I'm stalking, laying in the wait, I am harassing, I'm smuggling cocaine to the Bahamas, I'm dealing cocaine. There's a list full of crap, of slander and defamation to my name. So I started a small claims case that later I tried to drop, and they won't let me unless I pay $8,000. But so John David Ekpenyong gets a motion or a settlement conference, and the courts give him a date. He's supposed to send that to me. He never did. So the day after that settlement conference in front of Deputy Familia, he sends me an email, and I'll share it with you guys, that, oh, you didn't show up. I'm glad the courts emailed you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You never sent me anything. He's like, yes, I did. I'm looking at the email right now. I see your email. I'm like, show it to me. He refused to show it to me. I had to contact the small claims court, and they sent me a copy, and he straight up lied. He never served me. Deputy Familia was mad at me and gave me shit on his endorsement because John David Ekpenyong lied to him. And that was crap. And I was ordered to pay $1,700, where I had to file an emergency motion. And we got in front of Deputy Marinette. And, I brought this to this deputy's attention, and he did nothing about it. Which was pretty frustrating, because when someone's blatantly caught lying to your colleague, a deputy judge, and you do nothing about it, like, this is a serious misconduct. John David Ekpenyong did not lie to one judge. He got caught lying to 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8. And they did nothing about it. And there's a complaint in the Law Society that's been there for 3 years about this about this lawyer. And they're just been sitting on it for 3 years, and that complaint's being handled by Ari Kashtan. And Ari Kashtan, he deals with the financial stuff with the Law Society complaints, and he's done absolutely nothing. And this is the problem with the Law Society complaints, and I would recommend don't even waste your time if you have an issue with your lawyer, because Law Society is handled by lawyers. You file a complaint against a lawyer. Who handles the complaint? A lawyer. Who funds the Law Society? Lawyers. So this is a perfect example how broken and corrupted the Law Society complaint service can be. When you've got a Law Society member that specializes in financial fraud, and when I get into this next part of this complaint, and this member, Ari Cashin, does nothing, it is beyond frustrating. So I get thrown into a trial. I get one chance to get out of this family court thing, and we back it up to August 2023. We're before Justice McLeod, probably only one or two that I can off top, two judges maybe that was fair, and he was one of them. And he told them, John David Ekpenyong, his client, straight up, like, you guys don't have a case. This is ridiculous. You need to think about this. So John David Ekpenyong likes to refer that, oh, he offered me zero money to get out of this. But that wasn't one time. And that was August 11, 2023. And, they said, oh, well, how about a peace bond and no money? Well, I'm like, how about we just drop this whole thing? Like, why are we in family court? Like, I'm in Burlington. Your client lives in Cambridge. I want nothing to do with her. Her equity went up $800,000. Why is she harassing me? Why is she bothering me? Crying. Oh, poor me, I'm a victim of domestic violence. There was never any domestic violence issues. This is an abuse of court process. So they wanted me to give in to a peace bond. And I said, no, why would I? You've never filed a peace bond application, so why would I agree to a peace bond? But looking back, all this crap I went through, this corruption, this handicap match, I haven't even scratched the surface of what this lawyer did and what some of the conduct of these judges did. I would have did it. I wouldn't be dealing with this stuff. My bank accounts wouldn't have been frozen. So we go to this family court trial, and it was straight up, it was unfair. John David Ekpenyong's witnesses, I've seen other videos, they got caught lying. They got caught reading notes from a notepad. They admitted to being coached. The applicant needed a doctor's note to read notes from a notepad. Another witness admitted to witnessing hundreds of harassing text messages. Couldn't give one example. But Justice Gibson, the judge that day, he said he didn't believe me. He said that the applicant had every reason to fear for her life when there was zero history of any police involvement, good or bad. There was no domestic issues. This person admitted there was never any violence. Never put my hands on her, never threatened her. And this judge hammers me with a restraining order, a lifetime restraining order. So this is a major lie. This is one of the biggest lies that this John David Ekpenyong says to the court. So I lose this trial. John David Ekpenyong sends me an email saying, we get costs. We want $15,000. I said, I'm not paying that. You caused delays. You lied. You did this. You did that. I'm going to exercise Rule 24. And maybe the judge will be fair. He was far from it. This judge entertained a fraudulent bill of $160,000 that was never worked or money exchanged hands. And every single judge in the Kitchener Superior Court refuses to make these people provide proof of payment. This judge orders me to pay $60,000 3 days after my 40th birthday. And I'm still blown away by those endorsements. Another very important, event, another big lie John David Ekpenyong did. So I noticed at this point, before we submit the cost, I noticed the application was never signed. John David Ekpenyong commissioned 5 documents without his client's signature. In fact, One of the documents that he commissioned about the signature was a document that was an exhibit at my trial that they admitted to paying $7,000 plus HST. That's why I couldn't believe this lawyer was so stupid and so ignorant to ask for $160,000 when it was an exhibit before the court of what they actually paid. Like, everyone, I am stuck in a web of psychotic behavior. It is evident I am dealing with Canada's most corrupted family court case in Canadian history, and nobody wants to talk about it. So I couldn't believe it. These things happen. I owe this money. It's the family court. A couple months go by. There is zero discussion about making payments. Zero discussion. You think this lawyer would have a decency and say, hey, Mr. Dobson, when are you going to start making payments? This is how you send it. You could do this. Send it to this email. It was nothing. It was nothing. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say this piece of shit, John David Ekpenyong, he runs to the family court and tells them, I refuse to make any payments, and starts a garnishment hearing. September 6, 2024, my bank accounts get frozen. Because John David Ekpenyong, again, lies to the courts and tells them, I refuse to make payments. I'm in a panic because I'm working in Windsor. I got an Airbnb. I got a lady taking care of my cats. I'm paying for my rent at home. So I'm begging and pleading, sending multiple emails. I got my criminal lawyers involved to try to start making payments. They wouldn't accept it. You guys I'll show the emails if I haven't already in other videos. They will not accept a partial payment. They said, go get it from your deceased grandmother. Like, this is the stuff I'm dealing with. They refuse to accept a payment plan. I finally we move along. I file an appeal. I file a motion for an extension of time to file an appeal with the Court of Appeal. This is where this lawyer starts telling more lies. So he just told the family court I refuse to make any payments, gets a garnishment thing happening, and I had to, before getting to this Court of Appeal, when I get this garnishment application, I'm scrambling around to respond to it. And you guys wouldn't believe the trouble this Kitchener court gave me filing materials. They added a letter, an E, at the 4 zeros at the end. They've probably rejected. It took me over 2 months to get my materials in because that court staff intentionally was just messing with me. What they did to me was so unfair, that court staff. And that was just straight up crap trying to respond to that garnishment, because the garnishment paper says if you don't respond, they could take up to 20% of your income. So I'm running around trying to respond. Like, maybe I can negotiate 5%, 10%. I'll get to it later, but I lost that garnishment dispute in January where they filed zero materials. Still to this day, we're approaching March. I don't know what's going on with the garnishment. The other day in court, John David Ekpenyong's client said out loud, I will never unfreeze your bank accounts. Well, I guess you're not going to get... It's like, this is all about putting me on the street. This isn't about recovering any money to someone who's got about $3 million. This is about seeing how much blood they can take from me. And again, I don't know why. We're trying to figure that out, me and my people. What did I do so bad to this person? And this person is just... It's like I never did anything that would upset somebody so bad that would want to put me on the streets. Excuse me. So I get this motion of extension, running around, getting this apply for a motion for an extension of time to the Court of Appeal. Again, John David Ekpenyong lies to the judge there. So John David Ekpenyong, I'll show you guys the emails. He emails the Court of Appeal, I think it was Simon, 4:30 on a Friday. He submits his materials to me Sunday at 10 o'clock. It's about a 50-hour window. We go to the next day, it's a Monday. It's this motion. We get before Justice Favreau. This judge, the courts accept his materials 40 minutes before. I think it was exactly at 9. It was like 9:15 they accepted the materials. The motion's at 10. 10 minutes before the motion, the judge accepts his materials. His materials are unsigned and they're uncommissioned. It's a factum and an affidavit. His factum is 2 pages. His affidavit is 8 pages, double spaced. That motion, I'm sorry, that was straight up crap. How they treated me. I lost that motion, the extension of time, because I didn't show proof I filed it within 30 days, which I did with the divisional court. I just forgot to show that, and I didn't submit an affidavit. But if you look at all of my materials there, you would probably think someone else wrote it. And that was just straight up crap that it got dismissed. And then at the end of that motion, that judge asked us, it's like, Mr. Dobson, if you win this motion, how much are you asking for? And I said, well, I missed a full day of work. I had to file this. I had to file that. I'm like, and she, I'm like, I said, I missed a day of work, 800 or something like that. And she cut me right off. And I said, well, wait, I'm not finished. I'm trying to break this down. Like, she just was done with me. And it was so rushed. I didn't appreciate that. Because you got to prove a test of 4 things. And I proved that test. I answered that test, and I asked for $1,500. Because that's what I was out, really. John David Ekpenyong, the judge asked him, he's like, I want $7,000. And she's like, for what? This guy's got a 2-page factum and an 8-page freaking affidavit. She's like, for what? Where's your cost? And it's like, I want $7,000. There's no explanation. That judge later gets back to us. At the end of the day, I lost the motion for extension of time. She awards him $2,500. And that was crap. That was just straight up crap. Because you know what? I'm sorry, Justice Gibson, straight up, he intentionally made that endorsement and those statements that he made. I called the applicant. I emailed her. I was not a tenant. I breached my temporary restraining order. None of these things happened. If you look at that email, she emailed herself. She admitted at trial. The one day she tried to say, these private calls were me, which they weren't. I showed my phone record. She even admitted at the trial she didn't answer those calls. There was a police report hidden that was on case lines that they admitted I was a tenant. I was renting the basement. Right after her tenant moved out, Katerina Bornerick, who lived there for 1 year, and her mother, Kim Bornerick, the applicant's best friend of 30 years, he transferred $1,400 a month. And the courts do not want her to show this. They're refusing to get her to show this payment. And this is what I mean. We're playing this game. They're just crucifying me for stuff I didn't do, things that didn't happen, and we can all really just stop playing these games and just get them to show proof of payment, but they won't do it. So it's a straight up handicap match every time I go to this Kitchener courthouse. I filed a garnishment dispute. John David Ekpenyong, so I filed this garnishment dispute. We go before Justice, B. Smith. I think it was October 29th, 2024. John David Ekpenyong, again, doesn't file any materials. She adjourns it. I'm struggling. I'm stressed out. My bank accounts are frozen. These people won't unfreeze it. They put it over until January 9th. I'm stressing. I'm behind on my rent. I'm behind on my car payments. My cats are starving. I'm starving. I'm like, please just accept a payment plan. And they're like, they won't without a hefty amount. So I go to this garnishment dispute on January 9th, again, before Justice Tweedy, the one who filled out that trial schedule endorsement form and blocked out 2 pages of transcripts. And then even John David Ekpenyong, he never filed that application. He never filed that form. And the trials coordinator's office, and I believe it was Salone French, who gave me some serious attitude one day and called the cops on me when I was at the courthouse because I asked her, why did you file it? I'm about to lose everything. And, she even said at one point, she's like, I don't care. I don't care you're going to lose everything. It's too bad. The judge said the schedule a trial. Well, the trial scheduling coordinator's office and my guess with this lady, she's been there for many years. She should know better to schedule a trial without that form in the system. So I go to this. So again, John David Ekpenyong is lying to the judges, saying that I refuse to make payment. But if you guys look at the emails, the handful of emails, they will not accept a payment plan. I keep telling this to the courts time and time again, and they don't listen. I show them the emails, and it's like, this is a huge issue. The way these courts are running, why men are having mental health issues, and why the suicide rate is at where it's at, and why domestic violence is increasing. A huge factor, and I never knew this before dealing with these courts, especially the family court, how uneven the playing field is. It's really messing with people's mental health. And, I've experienced it firsthand. And I refuse to go down that path, because really, let's just be honest, okay? A restraining order is just a piece of paper. If somebody wants to get at somebody, what's they like, really. So I'm not going to go that path. I'm better than that. I'm not going to go to jail over a bunch of losers who are lying to the courts, who got nothing better to do. I'm better than that. And I'm going to continue to suffer. And I'm going to try to be an advocate for others who, it's just horrible. Like, I do not want to sit in a penitentiary jail. I do not want to sit in a provincial jail dealing with all this shit. Like, I am not going down that path at all. They are wearing me out mentally. But you know what? I love my life. I love my animals. I love my space. You guys can see I'm educated. I enjoy my work. But I can just see how these courts, it's horrible. It's horrible. And, they paint pictures of people that isn't true. Like they're trying to do to me. I'm involved in 8 charities. I take pride in these charities. I enjoy helping people. And I'll get into a whole other video of like an introduction video of my upbringing, my values, my morals, and it's like there's some of the charities I'm involved in. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here, but I just, making that comment about the piece of paper, people going off the deep end, and then people are surprised. This is the thing. People are surprised, and they don't know this background information that could really set somebody off. And the courts need to clean their act up and stop abusing their powers and stop accepting filings that are late and stop dragging people through court that have no business being in there. And like, I was never married with this person. I never had children with this person. Imagine all the people out there that do. That crap, like my case that I got dragged into was eating up court time when there's actually people out there that are supposed to be in family court could have got heard earlier instead of all these delays. So I just really hope to see that these courts, like, they stop getting away with abusing their power. Like, this is public, hardworking Canadian tax dollars that are paying for these courts, that are paying for these judges, that are paying for these court staff. These are public servants that are getting comfortable and acting like it's a corporation, and they're forgetting. So yeah, that's going to have to be another conversation, is how do we fix this? How do we curve the statistics so we don't hear about these, horrifying stories of people just snapping? Because it's horrible. Come on, like we, it's a completely different topic, but it's, yeah. So I guess after that garnishment, These guys continue to harass me. They started a fictitious litigant application in December. This guy throws an application at my door, doesn't confer the dates with me. He schedules this December 19th. And I only knew about this because of Justice B. Smith's endorsement. She commented about, oh, there's another case parallel, and I didn't know. I'm trying to look at that. Like, I start looking it up, and I see it's a case. John David Ekpenyong's client, and it's my name. And I'm like, nobody's telling me this. This is how sneaky this lawyer is. And this is another reason why courtrooms need cameras and why the Law Society needs to stop being corrupted and biased and non-impartial and disciplined lawyers like John David Ekpenyong. Because it is a privilege to be a lawyer, but when you got lawyers like John David Ekpenyong abusing, there has to be a line drawn of disciplinary actions, and they're not doing it. So it was brought up to 3 judges: Justice Gibson, Justice MacArthur, and Justice Smith that heard the motion. All 3 of these judges, I brought up to them Rule 16.0310, the service, the personal service. These judges know that you cannot just throw an application at a door and tell the court you served the person. That's not service. So they kept putting it over because there seems to be a pattern of that. This court is just against me. It's not like I'm, this is, some people out there, you could say, oh, you're being delusional. Oh, you think everyone's out for you. There's a pattern. When there's an obvious pattern, because I'm self-represented, and you get these different outcomes, and you get these endorsements, and you allow this behavior and this conduct from this lawyer, who, if I had a lawyer, this would have been eaten up a long time ago. I don't got the money for the lawyer though, and so I experienced firsthand how broken this justice system is. So, they do that. The whole, the landlord-tenant appeal, this lawyer, we went before Justice Gibson, the divisional court, and Justice Gibson said that for John David Ekpenyong to file his materials no later than December 31st, 2024. Mind you, this was on November 29th, 2024. What does this lawyer do? John David Ekpenyong? He waits until New Year's Eve, 8 o'clock at night, and serves me, which is late. If you look at the servicing by email, anything after 4 o'clock is deemed the next day. The court's never accepted his materials until January the 6th. And I started investigating. I'm messaging the courts. They're just screwing me around like usual. I'm sorry, Ingrid, who accepted his materials, Carrie Rice, who did nothing about it, told all of them, telling me to take it up with the judge. And then John David Ekpenyong, I'll show you, in an email says to me, oh, your internet must have been down. This is the crap and harassment and the gaslighting. I have been, a little of it, I've been dealing with this lawyer for 3 years. You guys see all these crazy, psychotic emails this loon has been sending me. I seriously, I used to, being a nice person, I want to say I'm concerned for John David Ekpenyong's well-being. But what this lawyer has done to me, he has mental issues. And I'm tired of being nice about everything. He is mentally unstable. He is taking this court cases on personally. Some of them I don't think he's even charged his client. So we go to this fictitious litigant motion in February. Recently, it was actually on Friday, and the motion is heard. Right before we start the case, this lawyer's late. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to resolve this. Like, I've got a $3.5 million lawsuit that they know about. That I'm like, why would you label me a fictitious litigant and make my lawyer? And if I get labeled it, considering everything I've gone through this court, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, do you guys not want your money, or are you trying to put me on the street? Clearly, John David Ekpenyong and his client are trying to put me on the street because I got this potential. They just want to screw with me. This lawyer serves me Form 31 of the family court trying to put me in contempt for making these videos or making the videos I made before and posting it. For what? Telling the truth? They don't like that. Exposing these people, these two, for lying, committing perjury, submitting a fraudulent bill of cost, submitting fraudulent documents, withholding crucial documents, trying to label me a fictitious litigant because what? I filed 2 motions in the family court, and that because I filed a landlord-tenant application for an illegal eviction where I was illegally evicted from this lawyer's direction, in the peak of COVID, in harsh winter conditions. What? Because I appealed that landlord-tenant, and this lawyer was given 2 weeks to file his material in February 2024 before Justice Standrick, the other second, well, maybe only fair judge in all this. And this lawyer took a year to file his materials, and these judges are saying that wasn't prejudice. And what? Because I filed 2 small claims, one for the defamation and slander, which I tried to drop, that they wouldn't let me drop, that the applicant said later on, because now she has the impression she can get away with abusing the courts, and she can profit with her $60,000 that she never paid. Now she wants $8,000 to drop the case. And then the whole, the other small claims case, I sued John David Ekpenyong. Again, he never responded. So they noted him in default. And he's sitting there crying, stomping around in the courtroom like, And then the other thing, so another thing about this, halfway through all of this, John David Ekpenyong, he started wearing a wig. And, it just looks crazy. I understand some people have insecurities or skin conditions, but halfway through these proceedings, this lawyer starts wearing a wig. And I'm not joking when I say that this lawyer, when the times I've seen him stomping around, yelling at me, pointing to me, he reminds me from the Pinky from that movie Next Friday, getting all crazy with it's just ridiculous. Before I close the video, I want to share a couple the documents here. This document here, I want to show you guys. I've blocked out the applicant's name on here because, before I get into this, they're trying to muzzle me, putting me in contempt. I took down the videos. I had the Waterloo Region Police call me. They said, hey, your restraining order doesn't say you can't say her name or you can't do anything on social media, but they're trying to change your restraining order, and they want you can't go on social media, you can't say the name, you can't post the pictures. Fine, I'll go a step more. I'll take everything down. I won't post the name. I won't even say the name. So I want to show you this. This here was straight up John David Ekpenyong. He handed this to me at the fictitious litigant motion, and he said in the court, and I told that judge, Justice Smith, that day, said, I do not feel comfortable doing this motion without a lawyer. John David Ekpenyong will not unfreeze my bank accounts, and I need a lawyer. I don't feel comfortable. And this is exactly why. That judge forced me to do the motion. Because I feel like they're just they're railroading me. They're just, they have a mission to label me a fictitious litigant, which I'm not. And this John David Ekpenyong gave this form to me that I gave to the Crown 9 years ago, requesting to vary my bail. When I went on bail 9 years ago, I couldn't live at my condo in Etobicoke. I had to live in Burlington with my grandmother. So this was just a bail variation request. John David Ekpenyong handed this to me and said, you breached a restraining order in the past, didn't you? I'm like, no. He's like, yes, you did. So I because I didn't have a lawyer, and if I had a lawyer, I'm like, okay, I guess I did. I don't know. I never did. I've never had a restraining order before in my life. I've never breached a restraining order. Justice Smith that day took this form. He's like, this is Exhibit 5. This is pertaining to your character. And I'm like, I never admitted to anything. So that was crazy that happened. But this, I'm going to read this before I stop the video, but this is manipulation. This is John David Ekpenyong manipulating like he does. So he's already put this out, the applicant, my name, and he's made an order already for his closing arguments. This is what he writes. This is how crazy and sick in the head this lawyer is. And this is how crazy the courts are to allow this lawyer to do this. The application made by the applicant for a fictitious litigant order was heard this 21st day of March 2025 at 85 Frederick, Kitchener, Ontario in person, the same day. On the reading the affidavit of the applicant and her factum on the hearing, the testimony of the applicant and submissions of her counsel, John Ekpenyong, in attendance, and on the reading, affidavit, factum, request, Daniel Lee Dobson on the hearing, his testimony and submissions. Number 1, this court orders that Daniel Lee Dobson hereby declared a fictitious litigant. Number 2, this court orders no action, application, motion, or other proceedings shall be continued by the respondent, Daniel Lee Dobson, against the applicant or any person in particular without leave of this court first being obtained. This court orders that the respondent shall pay $15,000 as cost in favor of the applicant. This order bears interest at the rate of 5% per year as pursuant to the Court Justice Act. This is the fucking bullshit that this lawyer has been doing for 3 years. This is straight up abuse, and this is manipulation. Okay? And this just goes to show you how sick in the head this lawyer is, and he thinks he can get away with this stuff. They're trying to put me in jail for contempt over these videos for exposing the truth, for talking about the corruption. I am not here to bash anyone. I am not here to provide misleading information or lie. I want to talk about my experience with this Kitchener court, with the civil court, the family court, this divisional court, which is the civil court, the small claims court. There's been nothing but problems. And this just shows you, like, this is what I've been dealing with for 3 years with this lawyer in this courthouse. So, this goes to show you that this lawyer, that, the public needs to know. The Law Society needs to know. Like, action needs to be done. And that's why another reason I'm making this video. Because of crap like this, the harassing emails, the fraudulent documents, the fraudulent bill of costs, the perjury, lying to not one, but 7, 8 judges? I am so frustrated. I'm at a breaking point of, like, a financial, mental breaking point. Like, I don't want to be homeless. Like, why can't the judges just do something fair and truly act impartial? And why make me go through all this? I just want to go back to work. I don't want to claim bankruptcy. I want to continue being involved in these charities I'm involved in. One of these charities, is a children's disability sports league. And you know what? How good that makes me feel to support something like that for these kids, these innocent kids that are born with a disability, and we just want to preserve their innocence. Or what about the women's shelter I'm involved in? The abuse, the real abuse these women are taking that this applicant is saying I'm doing. Or what about all the OSPCA, all those animals that are getting abused or left out in the cold, that are starving? Or the other ones I'm involved in. But it's like, I can't believe it. I'm going through this. And I can't believe what this lawyer's gotten away with. And enough is enough. And it's time for accountability. It's time for transparency. And I think with this is a perfect example why these courtrooms need cameras. So the public can see what's going on behind closed doors, and self-represent litigants like myself can stop taking beatings behind closed doors, and you get these contradictive endorsements that aren't a true reflection of what's happening. There's a lot of abuse going on in these courts, and it happened to me, and it's happening to me. So I'm just going to leave the video at that. I thank you guys for watching the video. I appreciate if you guys could subscribe, like these videos, comment. If there's anyone else that's gone through something like this, please comment. You're not alone. Reach out to me if you're going through something similar. If you feel like you're going to do something, you're gonna do something you're gonna regret, get pushed to the edge, just don't do it. It's okay. We can get through this. You don't have to suffer alone. And I just hope that there's going to be changes in the courts and accountability with lawyers like David Ekpenyong. Lawyers who get caught lying to judges should be disciplined and not rewarded with money that they did not receive or hours they did not work. So thank you guys. This has been another video for Let's Talk About It. And this is about this lawyer lying to all these judges. And I thank you guys for watching.